The first thing you want to do is clean your clippers in front of the client. My clippers are already clean from last night, but I'll clean them again right when the client is sitting in the chair, because you want to make sure the client sees you clean the clippers. Put some oil in the clippers and then start cutting. This is a number 5 with the Wahl Seniors. You want to make sure you keep the client's face clean. I see a lot of barbers, they let the client's face get full of hair. That's unprofessional. So this is the first step. First, you want to do the top. Okay. You want to make sure it's all even. Now let's go over this really quick, because this is very important. This is the basics. First of all, you want to have 2 sets of clippers. I use the Andis Masters and the Wahl Seniors. I use them both. Then I have 2 pairs of edgers. One to cut shorter and the other one's just the way they come. Okay? This one's cut sharper. And this is a shaver. I use the Wahl shaver. On the Wahl Seniors, I have them the way they come from factory. The way they come set up. On these right here, I set them up to cut closer. I got them to cut shorter. See how they're really close? These are the ones I use to get rid of the line from the edges. So it makes your life a lot easier when you're dealing with 2 clippers. This one, it just makes it easier to blend. Okay, when you're using the high half, then you're using the low 1. When you're using the 1.5, then the low 2. It just makes it a lot easier. It makes your life a lot easier, and it helps you cut a lot faster too. So even though there's good barbers out there who only use 1 clipper, let's say only the Wahl Seniors, you want to use 2 sets of clippers. Take my advice, it's gonna make your life a lot easier. So he gets a high blowout. So I start with the edgers and I bring it up this high. First, pass the low 0 with the lever all the way forward. Then bring it up just past the first line. After that, bring it up to the second line. Then I take the number 1 from the speedo guides. Bring it up a little bit. I do a high 0 first, and then the low 0. Now I take the number 0 guard on the Andis Masters. I call it the number 2. It's like a low 2 if you compare it to the Wahl number 2. All right. Now I take number 1 from the Wahl Seniors. Now I take the number 3 guard, where it's actually a 0A from the speedo guides, but I call it the number 3. Notice I'm doing his blowout. He likes his blowout pretty high. Okay, you see it? But so you gotta find out first what your client likes. On another video, I'm gonna be teaching you guys how to do a consultation with the client to make sure you know exactly what the client wants. Because you could give them a really good haircut, but if it's not what the client wanted, then you just messed up, you know? You wanna make sure you get both sides even. Now I take the Andis Masters, put it all the way down to get rid of that line. Notice how I'm going like this. That's very important. The movement of the wrist gotta be like this, in a circular motion. Then I put it down a little bit, just a tad bit. Okay, do it again. And a little bit more. Okay, and that's it for that. Now I grab the number 1 guard or the 00 guard. Notice how I do one side first and then the other side. I think that's very, very important because especially when you're cutting a new client, you want to do one side and then show them the mirror, you know? Make sure that the client is okay with it. You want to do one side and then show them, hey, is it good that high? You know, when you're dealing with a new client, you don't want to do the whole haircut just to find out the client likes it higher or they want it more bald. You know, you want to make sure you're on the same page. Because then the client is not going to be satisfied, or he's probably going to ask you to bring it up higher. Basically, you got to do the whole haircut all over again. So you're not going to be happy about it. And then the client is not going to be happy. Nobody will be happy with it. Same thing on this side. You want to run the high half. And then the low half. This is the way that I think is the best for me. Like I said, if you don't have a method yet, take up my steps, copy the way that I do it, and then you could figure out your own steps. If you want to change something, you could do that too. But for now, I suggest you take my steps. They're pretty good. They work for me. I think it could probably work for you too. Okay, so now I'm doing the same thing that I did on the other side. I take number 2, the number 2 guard, or the 0A, whatever you want to call it. Now I take the number 1 from the Wahl Seniors. I use the high first, the 1.5, and then low. I see that right here is a little bit dark, so I'm gonna go back with the half. By the way, I'm gonna call this the high half and this the low half. Okay? High half, low half. This one, low 0, because the teeth are closer together. This is high 0. But I rarely ever use it like this. I only use it up to here. And then I'll go to this one to get the line out, to get rid of the line. This is the number 0 guard. I call it a number 2. This is the 0A, and this is the 00. By the way, they have the 000 out there. Don't buy it. It breaks all the time. Trust me. What you want to get? You want to get this one from the Wahl Seniors. It's they call it the half guard. It's good. It's better. It breaks, but not nearly as much. So you want to take the number 3 guard. Fade it in a little bit more. And take the number 2 guard. Now you want to double check too. Make sure they're even. Now we're gonna do the back. We do notice we're taking the same steps to do the back too. Zero guard. Now here's a little shortcut too for the back. You can just omit the other step and just go down, just go straight to this step right here. So from the 0. Take it down 2 notch, 2 levels, and that's it. Now use the number 1 guard. Oh, another thing that very important that I noticed with that some barbers make this mistake. They have their clippers set up really sharp, right? And then they'll bring them, when they put a guard on, you can't have it all the way down, because then this is gonna happen. You hear that? It's eating up the blade. Okay, when it's going like this, it's messing up your blade. It's gonna mess this up right here. It's gonna eat it out. So you don't wanna do that. Whenever, if you have a clipper that is set up to cut really sharp, you wanna bring it, you wanna push it back just a little bit so it doesn't mess up the guard. Now I use the half, high half. Now the low half. Now I take the low 2. 1.5. Remember to keep your client clean, you know? You don't want to keep them full of hair. It's not cool. So take the 1.5. And the low 1. To give it a better blend, sometimes you're gonna need to use this guard. Actually, most of the times you're gonna need to use this guard. So you see it right here. I mean, it looks fine, but I want to make it even better. I want it to be perfect, so I'll use this right here. I'm gonna take the low 3. Remember, I'm calling it the low 3, but it says 0.8 on the guard. Now I'm gonna go back to the number 2. Fade it out a little bit more. Remember the motion. You gotta do it in a circular motion. Okay? And you gotta have your wrist gotta be loose. You can't be too stiff. You just gotta be loose, alright? Here's a trick for you guys. When you're doing the shape up, you wanna make sure you use a comb like this. I see some barbers trying to do a shape up with the same brush that they cut hair. Okay? The problem is you miss a lot of hairs when you're doing it with a brush. You don't have the same control. When you're using a little comb like this, you have all the control. All the hairs will be lined up perfectly. See how I push these hairs down? With the brush, you can't do that. Another thing about my method. When I grab the edges, I only use it once, okay? At the end of the haircut, I do everything that I gotta do with the edges, I only do it once. Because I think it's a waste of time when you put your edges down, then you grab the other clippers, then put the edges down, then grab the other clippers. That's too time consuming. So to cut off that time, just to do it faster, at the end you wanna grab the edges just once and do everything that you need to do. Once again, you want to use this comb. On the edge, you want to make sure you don't push it back too far. You want to make sure you keep pretty much the same hairline that the client has. I'm gonna do his beard too. I'm not done with the haircut yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the beard. So you want a 1.5, right?
Yeah.
Here too? So I run the 1.5. She has the open guard.
To edge up the mustache, use the same edgers that you kept the blades the same way they came from the store. If the client has any hair sticking out of his nose, cut it as a courtesy.
There's another situation where the comb comes in really handy when you're doing the shape up. You want to wet it first. And see how with the comb, you can have full control of the hair. You want to stand behind the client to double check it, okay? Make sure it's even. Very good. The final touch with the thinning shears. Now you want to make sure you have some thinning shears that have 40 teeth, okay? You want them really close together. You want to wet the hair first. Some barbers like it with the hair dry. I do it with the hair wet. So this is how you do this.
When using thinning shears, bring the comb towards you as you go up.
You can do the blowout without the thinning shears, but if you want it to be perfect, you gotta use it. I use the hot lather machine. It makes the foam come out a little warm. Some barbers that use conditioning, and I tried it out, but this is way more professional than anything else, I think, in my opinion. First, you want to put on the shaving cream. Well, while that's making the hair softer, the pores softer, opening up the pores, you want to change the blade. There's another thing you want to do in front of the clients. You know, you want to make sure they see that they're getting a new blade. I'm gonna show you guys how to do the eyebrows too. I'm gonna wet it a little bit. You gotta stretch the skin a little bit. Notice how I'm stretching the skin. You wanna make sure you know how the client wants his eyebrows. Actually, you want to make sure the client wants his eyebrows done in the first place. Some people don't want to get their eyebrows done, but if they do, you want to ask them how they want them. If they want them skinny, if they want them kind of squarish right here in this corner, if they want the bottom done too. Some people only want to get it done on the top and the middle, not the bottom. So you want to ask them those questions. Some people like them like that, arch. Some people like them like kind of really skinny, so you want to ask them those questions. Okay, since I already did the eyebrows and the edge and the blowout part with this blade, I'm gonna change this blade and get a new one. When doing the beard, you want to make sure you know how the client wants his mustache. Some clients want them really skinny, others want their mustache pretty much thick, others want their mustache to be thicker and then to get skinnier. So keep that in mind too. I'll be teaching you more of that too in the other videos. Notice how I'm stretching the skin with this hand, okay? And how I have a comb here.
You're going to need a comb to wipe off the shaving cream.
You want to make sure you use a comb and not a brush, because brushes, they get dirtier. They're usually dirty, so it's unsanitary. A comb, you keep it in the barber side, stays clean. This is my method for doing the beard. I strongly suggest you try this out. If you come up with a better one, a different one that works better for you, then by all means do that, you know. But this is how I do mine, and I think it works pretty well. So this is what I do. I do the bottom first, and then I'm gonna use that as my guide. I'll show you in a second. Then to do the other side, I get on the other side. You wanna make sure this line is even, of course. I'm gonna flip the blade to use the other side because it's sharper. Notice how I'm going straight to the blade. I'm not tracing it with the clippers first, like some barbers do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Starting out, that's how I did it. It's just this way is just faster. By the way, that was a pimple, not a cut. Notice how I'm getting on this side to this side of the beard.
By doing this, you will be working from a better angle and you will be more comfortable.
Now I gotta check, make sure it's even. Like I see this line is not even right here, so I go back to it. When you're shaving, you gotta make sure your hand is not too heavy. You don't wanna have too much of a heavy hand, because then you're gonna cut the client. But then again, you don't wanna have too much of a soft hand, because the line is not gonna come out sharp. So you'll get the hang of it with experience. So just keep that in mind. To do this part, see how I'm taking the blade and pulling it this way. You can do, there's different ways of doing the beard. For this beard, I'm doing it, see how I'm following this line to go with this. Putting a little bit of water here. Now I'm gonna pass it going up. I'm only gonna do it going up on the cheeks. Some barbers like to do also the neck. I normally don't do the neck because it gives people bumps. It gives most people bumps. So I just don't do it unless they ask me to. I do the cheeks going up though. The mustache too. Now final steps. Pass the blade over here in the back. Final touches, okay? You want to blend in the beard with the blowout. A lot of barbers skip this part. I just think it looks a lot better when it's faded in, especially when the beard is really dark. His is not super dark, so you can't tell too much, but you can still tell. Okay, compare this side to this side. Check with the mirror, make sure everything's perfect. Notice how I shaved them completely. When you shave somebody, you don't want to leave them with hairs around the nose. I know this is a mistake that a lot of barbers make. They leave hairs around here, or they don't pass the blade going up. You don't want to leave a homework for the client to do to finish it when they get home. You want to just shave them completely. After all, you're charging for the service, you know, so you want to do it right, keep the client satisfied, and just keep them coming back. By the way, you want to use aftershave, not just plain alcohol, you know. Just spend the extra $5, it's worth it for the client, okay? You also want to use a paper towel. And if you got one of these at your barbershop, great. This makes the aftershave experience a lot better for the client. And that's the lesson for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Practice this and watch our other videos. You'll learn a lot. Thank you.
Going with Dre for about 5 years now. Started with him at the Del Mary shop, moved with him to Fade Masters 2 when he moved to Fowler, Nebraska. Now we're here on Hanley. I love Dre. I wouldn't trade him for the world. Best barber, pays attention to detail. Little things matter, and that's what Dre does. He takes care of all the little things. No one else in Tampa will do that for you. That's why I stay here. You want your customers coming back, do what Dre does, follow the tapes. FadeMasters.com. See us.